and welcome to a very special episode of This Car Pod. We've got Filippo. We know Filippo. I'm Doug, but today we have producer Sean.
I can't believe I agreed to this.
Producer Sean sits behind the camera. He's made it a life goal of his never to be talent. He's never in front of the camera. He's never on screen. He's very nervous. And he's here today to walk us through some life of producer Sean, background on the Cars and Bids content sphere. He's going to tell us all about his bad colored G Wagon, which is behind me. This is a big day. Are you excited?
Look, I've received so many emails in the past few months telling me to do this that I've really had no choice.
Sean,
I've been bullied by everybody. Everybody watching the show, by Doug, by Filippo, by Kenan, by Nick.
Producer Sean. This is an unusual episode. We're not going to do the normal format because a couple of us are out of town this week. Yeah. And so we're recording this beforehand. We're not doing the news, etc. That's all back to normal next week. We figured since we have this special episode, record it early, and we have producer Sean. This is so rare. I can't even explain to you how rare it is.
Be careful not to describe him as talented. Talent, maybe.
Wow. I have been working with producer Sean now for many years, on and off in some capacity, and I've never had him come in front of the camera like this. Have you ever appeared on camera?
He has.
You can find some clips around on HBO Max or Max, whatever it's called, of like Top Gear behind the scenes and some YouTube Stiglap videos.
Wow.
If you really dig deep enough, you can find some.
There's some clips where Sean is in front of this. It's very rare though. He told me at the very beginning of this was never going to happen. He would never be in any videos, which is funny because Sean, I feel like, when we all hang out and chat about cars, like in the evenings and in the weekends, Sean is right there with all of us. But we do it on camera then sometimes, and Sean is never involved.
I get to keep my hot takes to myself.
Sean has some wild hot takes. Hopefully you'll get to hear some of them today because we have specific Sean-related questions coming later that were asked by you guys, our community. I want to first get started, though. There's a few things, legitimate things to discuss, but I want to get started with a little bit of an explanation of how and why producer Sean exists.
When two people really love each other.
12 years ago, I moved to Philadelphia. I was living in Atlanta, which I love, and I moved to Philadelphia, which I hate. And the only thing that made Philadelphia tenable was some friends that I made there. These two guys were both friends from that era. And right here, I had announced to my audience that I would be moving to Philly, and a couple of my audience members reached out to me and said, hey, you're moving here, I live here. And Filippo was one of those people. This is Filippo's original email to me from July of 2014, where we first met. And a couple of weeks later, Sean sent me an email also saying that he was a junior at Drexel in Philly studying film and television.
Film and TV.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride. And somehow it's come very full circle, and we're all here.
So Sean helped me make a lot of the videos that I made when I was in Philly. In fact, Sean was like the whole thing behind the creation of my famous video where I ran over a PT Cruiser with my Hummer. You weren't there for that,
I was
right?
not there. I was not invited.
So Filippo and I met. Filippo does not remember this.
I don't recall this.
We met twice.
I had a lot going on.
We met twice in Philly. Filippo has no memory of
Both
this.
of these guys were at my wedding, but independently, they didn't really know each other. I don't really remember. I feel like you came first and then you graduated or something. Filippo then sort of came on late. Regardless, Sean is from back in the day. And so Sean and I knew each other in 14.
Yeah.
We knew each other for a couple years in Philly. You helped me make a bunch of my earliest videos. The original G Wagon, the Mini Cooper.
Yeah, Mini
these are
Cooper.
like first 12 months of videos. You would like come with me to the shoots and help me make them. And then Sean graduated and went off to
Los Angeles. I instead of doing what a lot of people do in college and like study abroad, I was born and raised in LA, and I just wanted to get back to Los Angeles, and so I went into the TV industry making TV shows.
And give us some of your credits.
Top Gear is the American version. It's definitely the thing I got into TV to make.
Right.
And it was my dream to touch that franchise. So actually before I sent that email,
There he is, literally touching
Hugging the franchise.
the franchise.
With some medicine balls.
Yes, exactly. That's the BBC corporate office in Los Angeles, and that's a mannequin of the Stig that exists
that
there.
the real Stig?
And that was no. Well, actually, you don't know.
We don't know. Maybe.
Turn him on, and he walks out of the corporate office. But before I sent you that email, I had been an intern at the BBC corporate office, and that studio at the time was making shows like Dancing with the Stars and all these bigger productions. And as an intern, I was like the only one that cared about cars and like wanted to work on this Top Gear USA show it was on History Channel at the time. And that's like how I started. I still work with people. Producer Johnny, who's behind the camera as well here.
Yep. He was there in those early days.
Oh yeah,
10 years ago.
He was a coordinator, a production manager on that first Top Gear USA.
What was that was your first gig when you got out of school?
Yeah, I was like an audience coordinator for the Late Late Show.
Nice.
Which is
With like Craig Kilborn?
Craig Ferguson.
Right there.
And there's actually some tie to this job with that job and some of my roles. But yeah, I was doing that and an intern at the BBC corporate office. I was unpaid, so I wasn't.
What were you doing?
So I wasn't allowed to like work and get into the weeds with the crew because it was like there's a bunch of laws.
Yeah.
But every chance I was like getting lunch for all the corporate execs of BBC,
Unpaid,
and then
damn.
every chance I had, I would go and sit in the like producer room with the Top Gear producers and just talk about cars. And I thought this is the greatest thing ever. Right? We get to just like have this budget to then think up crazy ideas and go make. Top Gear, right? A version of Top Gear,
Which then you got involved doing.
Yeah. So I then graduated. We did a bunch of stuff in Philly. That Hummer video was like truly my first thing that I produced.
He produced.
Right?
I mean, you as I recall, you coordinated it all. You had somehow got us the hookup with that guy, Little Chris.
My cousin knew this guy named Little Chris who had this lot that he was going to be fine with us running over this PT Cruiser.
Do you remember we were terrified the Hummer was going to roll because there was no second vehicle for it to climb on the other side. So Little Chris that morning procured a Saturn
for
us that didn't run, and he got it dropped off.
Yeah.
And do you remember at some point we were talking to some of the junkyard guys, asked him about Little Chris, and he goes, "Yeah, that is Little Chris. He was a little guy." He's like, "You should see Big Chris."
That's right. But no, it was so fun. Like that whole video, like beyond the crushing, there's a lot of like really weird beats where we like add wood to the side of this PT Cruiser, and it was like very fun to just go around the parking lots, like trying to think of what we could. There's a moment in that video where you light the passenger seat on fire.
Yes.
And we went to the grocery store and bought like barbecue, like charcoal, lighter fluid, and doused the seat in it. And so I'm filming, holding the camcorder with one hand and holding the fire extinguisher we bought with the other hand.
And as I recall, we actually filmed that in the parking lot of the grocery store we bought the lighter fluid. It was in Northern Liberties, right?
Yeah.
It was that one with the 2-story parking. And so do you remember this place?
Of course.
We drove to the top, like away from the other cars. We lit the passenger seat on fire.
In the video, you can see that the very final moment of that frame is like the camera jumping forward because I was like so ready to put the...
This was actually even harder than that, though. Do you remember? We had to go back to Home Depot 100 times. We thought just like nails, we could just with a hammer and nails, we'll get it through. Nails do not go through a car's sheet metal. We had to find we had to spend, and then we had to like rent power tools and all this stuff. And even that was like the sketchiest thing.
Again, behind the Home Depot in the parking lot, just...
That's the right place in Philly to do things.
When you went off to LA, I saw you a couple times. We mostly lost touch. Like I probably hadn't talked to you since maybe 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
I knew I was paying attention to your...
I'm just washing a passenger seat lit on fire.
Let's pause it. I was paying attention to your career, but we kind of you came to my wedding, which was in 2017, and then I knew you were out there doing stuff.
We like filmed a Testarossa and a Jeep pickup conversion. Like I want to say that was 2018.
Yeah, I
maybe
think that was 18.
But then life got extremely busy making car TV shows. I worked on a show called Wheeler Dealers. That was a British format where Mike Brewer and at the time Ann Anstead, we would buy a car, fix it up, and then sell it. And it was a big discovery show. And
whenever I'm with Sean and he tells people he worked on Wheeler Dealers, that's where they get the most excited. I love Wheeler. Oh my God, you worked on that. And Sean was like running that show.
I was with Mike, and we were buying all the cars, selling all the cars, and it was very much a reality show. We had to get these cars done, and we did a ridiculous number of episodes in a year, and it was really fun. It taught me a lot about the car business as well, where it was like we were having to buy and sell these cars, and every episode had to be different. We couldn't repeat a car, right? So every year we're doing 27 unique vehicles,
right?
Nobody is better at finding cars online than Sean.
When we hired you 3.5 years ago, where did we pluck you from?
So I was at Motor Trend at the time, which Motor Trend's had a lot of significant changes since then, and it was just kind of wild timing where I'd had this run of 10 years producing almost strictly automotive TV, and I was traveling a lot. I was working on actually one of the favorite shows I've ever got to work on, which was Roadworthy Rescues. Host is another YouTuber, Vice Grip Garage, who's another very like minimal gear kind of guy, like just film it on an iPhone and run with it. And we were traveling weeks at a time, going between LA and Nashville. And you called and were like, "You want to come work at Cars and Bids and run this content with me?" And I was like, "That's a very interesting idea. It'd be so full circle." So I drove down here. Every time I drove down to meet with you guys, it was pouring rain. Yep. I was like, "This is a sign to not do this." But no, it's been awesome.
And it's been awesome having you back in our lives.
It's been fun.
And it's been so thrilling. Sean is like reintegrated with the friend group that I had here in San Diego. We're all like car people together. We go to the cars and coffees and car events and everything. And it's been so great having you in our lives again. I can't imagine a world without producer Sean at this point, both personally and at work.
I'll be honest with you. Claude actually helped us write this ad, which yes, is a little meta, but also kind of proves the point. At Cars and Bids, we've got the whole team using it now. Research and copy and product and engineering and customer support. It started with me and just spread because it's genuinely that useful. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's a collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter. The deep research is what gets me. I can throw a complex problem at it, and it comes back with analysis that would have taken me hours. It's not just a search engine. It actually thinks through the problem with you and then helps you with visualizations. Are you ready to tackle bigger problems? Get started with Claude today at claude.ai/cars. That's claude.ai/cars. And check out Claude Pro, which includes access to all of the features that we use for today's episode. claude.ai/cars.
Buying glasses used to be such a pain. Overpriced stores, confusing upsells, and you'd still walk out not totally sure you liked what you got. Warby Parker completely changed that for me. The virtual try-on is a game changer. Just point your phone at your face and try on frames in real time before you buy anything. And when your pair shows up, the quality is genuinely impressive for the price. Prescription glasses start at just $95. Actually, you know what? Just take a look at producer Sean. There he is. Those are his Warby Parker sunglasses, and they look fantastic. The styles are just really good. Plus, every pair sold means a pair donated to someone in need. Over 20 million pairs have been given away so far. And our listeners get 15% off plus free shipping when they buy 2 or more pairs of prescription glasses at warbyparker.com/cars. That's 15% off when you buy 2 pairs at warbyparker.com/cars. Tell them that we sent you.
And now producer Sean is embarking on his very next quest, which is the only way that I was able to convince him to come on this podcast today. Tell us about Key.
So Key is here. Key is a new channel from Cars and Bids. There's a lot of really talented people that work on the content, and we're looking for a place to tell elevated stories. This is a very much a experimental channel. We have broken air conditioner unit, Ryan Lopez, in front of the camera for these videos. My dear friend Joe Barry, who's been a producer on the Grand Tour, all the real Top Gears, is the quintessential British car journalist man, and we're really excited. It's going to be a channel for beautiful documentaries, good storytelling, just the kind of thing that is maybe missing from our current
Wow. He openly
Library.
said it. There's always been an implication since this was being developed. There's always been kind of an implication that my content isn't good enough for producer Sean. Producer Sean, with his television background, feels that what I do is sort of at a lower level. And so Sean.
That's very false. That's very false. But I think there's room for more. And also, sometimes you get invited to some really cool stuff. But you're busy. You're with your family, and so the idea.
Certainly not at work. I appreciate that. Sean's really laying it all out here today.
So the idea is that we're gonna have a channel that has some momentum. That when there's cool opportunities, we can send Ryan out into the world and get some cool videos. It's the kind of thing that I, as a car enthusiast, as a fan of automotive content, want to see. It's something that I think is currently missing from the landscape of YouTube, where we have this opportunity to have a little bit of budget to make some really interesting documentary stories, films.
And by the way, Ryan is an excellent host, presenter in this show. He's been absolutely fantastic. Same with Joe. I'm totally bought in. I think that it is really, really good stuff. I've seen a lot more videos than what has gone live right now already, and I think it's fantastic. And I'm thrilled that you're able to make some of these things that sort of speak to your talents, your crew's talents, your presenter's talents in a pretty impressive way.
It's super exciting. So right now we have a JDM documentary that's been live for about a week, and then this Friday, Seattle Arrive and Drive. It's our Joe Barry going out into Seattle and meeting with local enthusiasts and really experiencing what it's like to be a car enthusiast in this town. So this is going to be hopefully the first episode in a long series of him exploring different car communities, different car enthusiasts. If you have a good story to tell, email Sean at carsandbits.com.
You're giving it out freely. Somebody on our team described it as Doug does such an incredible job of going deep on a specific car. Like what makes that car interesting, what makes that car special. And so many of the documentaries are about what makes this piece of car culture, of car community special. And it's a deep dive on that. And that's really exciting.
And they're just so well done. And so for anybody who's complained to me about the quality of my production, which has been the primary complaint for me for 15 years, Sean has finally arrived to create some high quality automotive stuff, and I think there is some of that missing in the YouTube, especially in the YouTube in general in the automotive content world. You don't see that on TV anymore, and there were some YouTube shows sort of like that. They're gone. It'll be exciting to see all this stuff come out.
And to be clear, Doug's not allowed to stop making car reviews. They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. Sean, it's going to all be great. We're just piling on more.
It's delightful.
Sean is now running a content empire, okay? He's got Key with beautifully produced car documentaries doing all sorts of looks at car culture. He's got my YouTube channel where it's still the #1 individual car reviewer on the planet. And then he's got the Cars and Bids channel where we play poorly thought out games. You can watch it all.
And make sure you subscribe to the Key channel. Hit that. What do you say now? Hit the bell.
The bell.
And remember, the only reason you got producer Sean on this is because of Key. And so Sean is here to promote, just like a good guest is always here to promote. And so in order to support Sean's existence here, you have to subscribe. You must.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
That was the first good advertisement you've ever done.
Well, I believe deeply in producer Sean. And I believe deeply in what he's doing. And I love this idea. And I want to see, Sean, the thing that happens when you're in this film and TV world is that you have ideas, but you're the guy who gets lunch. And then you have ideas, but you're the guy who does this or that. And then eventually you get to a point where you can actually unleash your ideas on the world. And this is the first time Sean's ever been able to really do that in a huge capacity. And I really want it to work on his behalf.
That's very kind, and it's so true. It's the film and TV industry is just climbing and staying connected with friends. It's so funny how it's full circle. All of this is and where it's gone.
Sean has brought some great people to our office to work with us, and he himself is great, and we're thrilled that he's here, and we're thrilled to have Key.
Key.
And Ryan will be on the podcast soon to dive into some of the adventures he's been on filming this. But we like Key, the name Key, just because it's the part of the driving experience you always have with you. It's in your pocket. It's tangible. It's the first thing you pick up to go for a drive.
Ironically, of course, Ryan has a Tesla, he doesn't have a key.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
He'd like it known that, oh, no.
Oh, wow. He reached for
in
a
his
key
pockets,
and
but
He's
didn't come
also
up with
got a
any key.
zesty drift car, though. He's got a hub swap. Okay, Key is here. Sean is here. Go subscribe to Key. Watch our videos. You're going to love them. The first one's out. There's going to be a lot more coming. You're absolutely going to love them. And they are all courtesy of the brilliant baseball cap mind of producers.
not just
Go
baseball
Dodgers.
cap. Living in San Diego, buying an LA Dodgers hat.
Okay, I want to discuss other Sean-related things. So let's just start by you guys were participants. I don't know how much the audience cares about this, but you guys were participants in like the very earliest days of my YouTube channel. This was before I was doing car reviews. This was before, my channel started in the fall of 13, and we were putting out these videos, Sean, together probably I did the first year I did it in Atlanta for 6 months. But after I moved to Philly, which was basically there, you were involved. You were involved in this one. You were involved in this one.
I did that
Filippo
one.
did you do
I
some
did
of this?
an intrusion to the Hummer.
You were
Incredible.
involved in so many of these. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, the reason I was so fond of your channel was the Ferrari 360.
Oh, yeah.
The tip frog for mine, but
Which
gated.
Sean has a Ferrari 360 now.
It's very full circle. That 360 has always been my favorite car, and so I was always looking for content about Ferrari 360, and here was a guy who like bought one and was doing crazy stuff with it. And
Did you ever spend time with that car? Because I sold it.
it was gone before we met. It was like right
That's
after
funny.
you sold it. I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, I thought this guy was gonna have a 360. No 360.
So that a Hummer.
Hummer in the L322, which I was very fond of. It was
Yeah, that's right. I had
very
that
good
Range
moments.
Rover.
You know, I hope people get a sense of like having car friends from this car pod, because it's very much like the conversations we have. But it was really like special in college to like meet someone that was just as much into cars as I was.
And to be clear, at the time, I wasn't like Doug DeMuro. I was just a guy. Like
Just a
Filippo, I was writing on Jalopnik, and so if you were reading Jalopnik, you would have known of me. But that wasn't a big. Like I was just a guy. I had maybe 100,000 subscribers. We were just kind of screwing around. There was no thought that this ever would go anywhere. Or really, I don't know. I wasn't thinking that. I don't know if you guys were. We were all just kind of screwing around, trying to get a video up every week, just having fun.
I remember we were like sitting in a park one day, and like a reality TV company had emailed you saying like, "Dude, should I go do this TV show?" And we were like, "What is this?" And like, trying to figure out like what it was, and it was super early days of
You
your career.
must have been around for the Skyline stuff.
Yeah.
When did you leave Philly? 16 or 15?
16. I was.
So you saw a little bit of Aston Martin.
A little bit, but so Drexel is like a co-op system. So I was 6 months in Philly, and then I believe my junior year, 6 months in LA, doing my internships.
Was it you who came with me to the
Yeah.
Brat? Filippo ended up, I think,
I was doing
a lot more. I'm looking back at these. You were at the drag strip, right?
No,
Filippo?
it was not the drag strip. I was at the racetrack.
Were you at the
though.
drag strip, Sean? Someone
No.
went to
I
the
came
drag
to the
strip with me.
racetrack. That one.
Who was in the Murano? Was that you?
me, Yeah.
Filippo
I'm
was
in it, literally.
literally in that video. You went to Manhattan with me in a
No.
Hummer.
God, that Hummer was terrible.
That was so bad.
That was such a bad car.
Fuel economy challenge was quite something.
We drove to Princeton, right?
Yeah.
We like tried to hypermile, like taped cardboard.
It worked. Ish. Sean, do you remember how well scripted Doug was? Like he would have a piece of
yeah.
paper that had every beat he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, as a
different-
result, the videos are a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4-minute
But they're
script is like
great.
3 pages. It's like, oh, that's all I'm going to be able to
Yeah,
write.
the G Wagon review. I remember your script was so incredibly tight for that, and
Yeah.
you had this like great,
And we would mess up lines and like go back and do it again, do it again.
Yeah, it was incredibly scripted.
You were there. I mean, I consider these sort of especially the G Wagon video is particularly special if you really think back on the history of the channel, because it was one of the first like true car reviews. The Yalpa also. But the G Wagon and the Yalpa were like some of the very, very, very beginning, like real, like borrow a random car from a dealer kind of stuff.
Yeah, that cool dealer. He had a bunch of interesting.
Yep, Selden.
Selden
Alex
Motors.
Selden, Selden Motors. He sells on Cars and Bits sometimes.
It's awesome.
He happened to be my neighbor in Northern Liberties, and he had a dealer outside of Philly, and we bumped into each other, and he was like, "Hey, if you ever want to shoot a video," and so we borrowed that ridiculous convertible G Wagon.
Yeah.
Also a bit of a full circle. Thing.
Yeah.
Mine is sitting over there.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's also 4 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yep.
It's such a short
Back then,
video.
there was no YouTube didn't really reward you for making longer videos. There was no advertising, I don't think, in these videos at all, so it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And then at some point, once I started doing actual car reviews, that changed.
Well, what was the first 10-minute long video? I remember it at the time.
I remember for a long time thinking that 10 was a barrier I couldn't cross because the audience was not interested in watching videos that were that long. I remember thinking that. Oh, look at that first 10-minute video.
Wow.
The rare GT.
Another full circle. That's crazy.
But I remember when I was editing that video thinking to myself, like, this is going to go too long, but it's such a special car. It's going to be worth it.
It's Carrera GT.
Carrera GT.
There's one right there.
Yeah. Those were the days. Those were the early days, the Sean days.
Absolutely wild.
I can't believe that you and I never met, but
Filippo, we did meet. We're good friends now, but it still drives me crazy every time we talk about the show.
Sean and I must have lived a mile apart at the most.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Sean flew back to, when my wedding was in D.C. in 17, and Sean flew back from L.A. for them.
Yeah, Filippo was at UPenn, I was at Drexel.
But which are
worlds.
they basically share a campus. They're like right next to each other.
We
adjoin,
wouldn't
right?
admit to that. But yeah.
So those were the days. So that was the early days. Filippo, do you have any early days memories you want to throw out?
There's so many.
You agree we weren't like trying to launch a YouTube channel?
You have always been, I think it doesn't show on camera, but you've always been like the most planned, deliberate person I know. And so I think there was, oh wow, I'm in that shot. There was some sense of like, no, this is going to be
But that was the hope. But
I don't know that I've thought.
I do remember
a decade
through at least this era, I was thinking more about writing than I was thinking about making videos.
I still prefer your writing to your videos.
When I was pulling up the first email that I had sent to you, the next thread was about cameras. And even then, you were not interested in spending anything more for the extra features that I was like so desperately being like, if you want to shoot a lot of videos, this model is like the one to buy. And you're like, well, do I really need that? So,
okay, last question on the old days topic for both of you. What prompted you to write the email, to like initially reach out? It was life-changing for all of us.
Yeah.
But what do you think prompted it?
Interesting. I mean, I was truly a huge fan of the 360 videos and thought this is like really cool. YouTube again wasn't this huge thing.
And back then, not many people were making videos with exotic cars.
No.
I remember one of my hooks with the 360 was that there weren't a lot of people out there doing this kind of thing.
But I've always, I guess maybe just because of my age, I've always been a huge fan of automotive YouTube. Like from early days of like, Fastlane Daily.
Yeah.
I was like super into watching automotive content on YouTube, and your style of just doing crazy like Top Gear style challenges with the 360, I thought was like super interesting. And then I was following your writing and saw that you had moved to the town I was going to school in, and at the time I've been obsessed with cars. It's been such a huge part of my life forever. But in college, I didn't bring a car to the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this would be really cool to make videos and do this and be connected to the car world. And, and looking back, it is unbelievable how full circle. Like 10 years later.
Right, here we are.
We're
Sean's still helping me make YouTube videos, trying to start an Alfa Romeo with a fire extinguisher.
And you're still ignoring his camera advice.
What about you?
It's so out of character for me.
So out of character.
It makes no sense. I don't know what happened that day in
July of 2014. I actually, to this day, I remember reading your email. I was at a Chipotle.
Wow. We then got dinner sometime in like October, November of 2014. And I was, my wife now, but at the time girlfriend, and I had been dating for like a month or two. And I was like, I'm going to go get dinner with this random person from the internet. And she was very concerned and very confused. But in the time since, was at your wedding? You were a groomsman in my wedding. Like we had clearly
had that pizza place in Head House.
We did
that I loved.
Yep.
I still love if it's there.
Is it there?
I don't know.
Haven't been to Philly
in years. So it was unusual. I do remember, if you go back to the channel, I made a video announcing that I was moving to Philadelphia, and it probably would have been a couple of further up here somewhere.
Knowing myself, it would have come from your writing, not your YouTube.
Oh yeah, maybe that. Maybe it was a. I don't
Ferrari
remember.
moved to Philadelphia, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But regardless, I made that video, and I remember I got flooded with people who reached out after that, and you two have stuck. Our mutual friend Matt Boyer, I'm also still in contact with. He was also one of the people who reached out in the early days. But other than that, not a lot of the initial Philly emailers are still around. I used to have dinner like 3 times a week with random Philly people, and Filippo and Sean stuck around.
And yet Sean I never met.
And Filippo,
Not true.
Filippo didn't work with us for a long time either, but eventually we got convinced them both to work with us and to live here, which we all
Although
know.
in my case, it's been 6 years.
We all now live,
6
within
years.
4 miles
well.
of each other,
It's
just like back in the day.
Yep.
Traveling internationally is great until your phone bill shows up. That's why I started using Saily. It's an eSIM app that gives you affordable data in over 150 countries. So you land, turn it on, and you're connected. No SIM swapping, no hunting for Wi-Fi, no surprise charges. I used it on a recent trip with Emily, and it just worked. Data was fast, setup took like 2 minutes, and I didn't have to think about it again, which is exactly what you want when you're traveling. What I like is how flexible it is. You can pick a plan based on where you're going and how much data you need, and it's way cheaper than roaming through your carrier. If you travel at all, this is one of those things that just makes life easier. I use this and you should too. Download the Saily app or head over to Saily.com and use the code CARS to get an exclusive discount on your first plan. Stay connected wherever you go with Saily.
Okay, I have to tell you about a podcast I've genuinely been enjoying lately. And look, there's no shortage of car content out there, but this one's a little different. When's the last time you got to hear the actual CEO of Ford just have real conversations about cars and life? That's a rare thing, and it's called Drive with Jim Farley. The guests are incredible. Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo, Sir Chris Hoy, who is somehow both one of the greatest Olympic cyclists ever and a racing driver. The conversations go deep. What drives these people? What they actually get behind the wheel of? What success means to them? It's a kind of car content that doesn't feel like a press release. It feels like a real conversation between people who genuinely love this stuff. For a car person, having that kind of access to someone in Jim Farley's position, somebody actually shaping the future of the industry, it's pretty special. To listen to Drive with Jim Farley, just search for Drive with Jim Farley in your podcast app. That's Drive with Jim Farley.
Okay, so those are the early days. I want to move on. The Talk Cars segment, we typically talk about cars. Since Sean is here, I want Sean to talk about his cars, starting with the bad color G Wagon. Well, first off,
color.
how about you just tell us what you have right now, and then we'll get into the bad color G.
So currently, I have a beautiful, gorgeous, immaculate, beautiful metallic mystic red.
Is that the color?
Yeah, I was trying to remember the name of the actual color. It's Mystic Red 2014 G550 Galanda wagon.
And the brake lights do work.
And the brake lights do work.
They
As
didn't
of
work.
this week, after 3 months of the brake lights
Nick
not working.
fixed it. We're good.
Look, Nick asked me to not put in my taillights that I ordered to do it on his channel for content. So I risked my life for a couple days.
That's definitely what happened.
There is a thread in our group that Sean can't quite handle his G Wagon.
I think it's been said on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's the most insane thing. I've never owned a normal car.
But he hasn't been able to wrap his like self around. The taillights haven't been working for months. The brakes squeak and he cannot figure out how to stop it squeaking and just complains to us about it bitterly.
Good news, changing the brake lights, remove the squeak. The real thing
squeak
Sean
is back.
said last week. Oh, okay.
Squeak is back. But it's the G550, which is sort of my daily. I don't really have a daily.
So we got the G.
Yeah.
2001 Ferrari 360.
Ferrari 360.
Tip Frog.
Argento Nürburgring.
Yeah, Argento Nürburgring. Definitely remember the name of that color. And then a 1974 Alfa Romeo GTV, which is, I want to say own the oldest car of the San Diego Cars and Bids employees.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because my Countach is probably next or damn close. There's not a lot of classics in our group.
I own a 1973 Ford F-250.
One interesting thing about Sean, Sean has trouble letting go of things. And when Sean and I would hang out after you left Philly and moved to LA, I remember I visited you in Hermosa Beach and you had your Cayman.
Yeah.
And he had that Cayman for like 8 years. And finally, when he came to this business, he had it for another year and a half.
Yeah.
And we convinced him to sell the Cayman, which he sold on Cars and Bids, and he bought the Ferrari.
I've regretted selling the Cayman. I love this car. So this car was actually very much inspired by a Range Rover. It was a CarMax purchase. So I did the CarMax Max Care warranty,
Which
absolutely paid for itself. I want to say
probably more than the Range Rover.
Yeah,
Maybe not on a dollar level, but like on a percent. I mean, they put a trans in the car.
I paid $26,000 for the car in 2016, and with 59,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
And during the warranty, I want to say close to $30,000
Those
of
are
receipts.
almost exactly the numbers for my Range Rover. But the difference is you put on 75,000 miles on the car.
84.
80, almost 90,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of that was done after the Max Care ended, which mysteriously, the issues just stopped. Everything worked.
Suddenly things were able to be ignored a little bit more.
Yeah, no, the Cayman was a great car. It really did everything I needed it to do. It was a super light, really engaging sports car that was actually quite practical. I lived all over Los Angeles in this thing and street parked it at times, daily drove it, and put a ton of miles on this thing.
Remember how proud he was of those roof racks? They
very
were like
proud.
Porsche equipment roof
Yeah,
racks. He didn't even use them. I never saw them once being used,
Certainly
but
never
he rode
used.
around with them
No, there's-
always proudly on display.
One time he posted on his Instagram a photo of them being used.
Yeah, I
That's
used
the
it.
closest we've
I used it a
gotten
couple
to
times. I loved the Cayman roof racks, and I desperately searched for them because they're hard to find. And when I found them, I was so happy that I decided I was going to leave them on and just drive proudly with my roof racks for years. Oh yeah,
Here you
there's
go.
a photo. Yeah, see my Bianchi bike on top.
For the photo.
Sean is a man of accessories. This is one of the things that I've learned about Sean. Like when we play tennis, and I have no idea what racket I play with, no idea what my strings are, and Sean will be like, "I just got my strings done, and I switched from polysynthetic to synthetic Fleckmanboven, and also I'm going to change to this racket, which I saw in a video. Nadal's best friend's cousin uses this racket,
So
and
true.
I got two of them, and one's a little lighter than the other, and then he can't hit a backhand. It's like, Sean, maybe work on move away from the accessories, and
Look, that's cool. That's cool. And this photo is on Angeles Crest Highway when I didn't go slow. That roof rack held that bike on there.
Okay, so he didn't take the bike out to go biking. He took the bike out to
Yeah,
throw it
of
off the car to
course.
take the Angeles Crest.
Obviously.
I had to stress test the roof rack and make sure that it could actually withstand proper
Oh,
speed.
God, that's ridiculous. So the coolest car thing you've ever had, though, is your very first car. Show us.
Well, before we move on to the first car, I just want to point out that I drove this colored Cayman, right?
Macadamia
metallic. Another very divisive color.
you a deviated stitching man now?
No. But yeah, this group doesn't seem to like cool colors on cars.
What? Don't.
Do you like the Cayman?
Of course I like
You
the
do?
Cayman color.
All right.
I also like the G Wagon color.
Doug, you didn't like the brown.
The brown came in. No, I think it's a little bit of a pretender thing. Like, oh, look, it's brown. Like this is all people do at these Porsche events. They talk about their colors.
But this wasn't PTS. This was just
I
like
know,
a
but
color
it's
that they
still
were
like,
offering back
it's,
then.
It's speed yellow, not silver. It's like, oh, who cares? How does it drive?
I thought it was cool.
It's a good color.
It's cool.
I love the color.
It's nice and cool and all that. But I think Sean was always a little bit self-congratulatory about having a brown car.
maybe.
And in fact, I drove this car around with this color. Yeah,
Brown
Sean,
manual.
must have been real hard. Anyway,
that's right.
Let's talk about that other car.
let's talk about Sean's first car, which was, of course, the most ridiculous. Pull up this thing. Sean, tell us about
This-
your first car here.
This is an insane story and is absolutely something that I will always just cherish as being my first car. It's completely insane. So this is a 1985 Ferrari 400i. However, I purchased this car when I was 16. I just turned 16. And just
So for those of you who don't know, the 400i has always been kind of the cheapest, I don't want to say crappiest, but the most affordable Ferrari. People know about the Mondial.
You
but
can say crappiest.
No, I actually kind of like the 400i, to be honest. I think it's beautiful. And of course, it was Enzo's last driver, as we all know.
yeah, and it was hated. It was hated. This is 2010, 2009, 2010.
This is the four-seater lineage that predates the FF and the GTC4 Lusso and the 612 and the 456. That lineage traces back to the 400i. So.
At the time, there was zero interest in this car. However, I was a Ferrari obsessed child.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old, I went for a ride in a Ferrari 360, and it changed my life. It changed the course of my life, right? And I was dead set on, getting a Ferrari. And it was an insane thing to say at
Right.
16. However, I spent way too much time on my computer looking at the time, the only auction site was eBay. Right. And so I would go to eBay Motors and sort by lowest price. And sure enough, what's there is this Ferrari 400i. And I haven't got to the good part of the car yet. It has a Chevrolet LT1 engine swap in it. right? And so I'm looking at this
This
thing.
is a C4 Corvette motor, more or less.
This is the C4 Corvette motor,
Right.
The like OptiSpark, like the worst, again, one of the worst Chevrolet V8s of all time. However, the transmission in these is a GM 3-speed
Yep.
from the factory. So what a lot of people did in period, this one was a theft recovery car. And after it was recovered, someone took the Colombo V12 out of it and most likely put it into like one of those P4
Yeah.
recreations, because the V12 is pretty close to what all the very
Yeah, I mean,
desirable
it
cars.
basically runs a similar block as the 365s,
Yes.
which would have included the Daytona and cars like that.
Yes, yes. So
So Sean didn't get that part of the
No,
car.
no.
The Daytona motor, that was gone.
yes. So I found this, and it was, I want to say it was. The bidding was at like $8,000, right?
Yeah.
At the time I had like a business converting people's like analog film into digital files for them, and I had saved up about $10,000 for my first car, and I went to my parents and I was like, "Hey guys, look, I really want this car," and they're not car people. They didn't really understand, but they understood my love of Ferrari. Like every birthday, they would buy me
Yeah.
like the knockoff Ferrari, like a soccer ball, you know, whatever. But so they understood how much like this would mean to me as like a first car. Had no idea how bad of an idea this would be. On all levels. So we bought this car. It was in St. Louis, Missouri, on eBay, and I bid. I think the winning bid was like $12,000.
Wow.
My parents like helped me chip in and pay covered shipping, and sure enough, off the truck came this Chevrolet powered
Nice.
1985 Ferrari 400i that is beyond the weirdest first car that I could have possibly ended up
Every
with.
car since then has been more reasonable.
Oh yeah, this is
That's so true.
And-
no, that can't be true. It's Sean.
it's quite true.
He had a
an
Mustang
engine-
after this. He had
Yeah.
a Mustang.
An engine swapped
Yeah, you're right.
80s Ferrari. And so I told my parents, like, look, it's a Chevrolet motor. Like, that's the expensive part of Ferraris. Anything goes wrong, I can just take it to the Chevrolet dealership. Which,
Where were you living?
Davis. So this is in
so
Davis,
Northern
California.
near Sacramento.
Davis, California. And this car unlocked a lot of really crazy experiences that taught me a lot about what it meant to take care of a car, work on a car, and what the amount of energy and effort it takes to have something like this
Yeah.
at 16. I mean, I remember taking it to the Chevrolet dealership because it had a terrible electrical draw. Like if you didn't have it on a charger for more than 20 minutes, it would die. It would die. The first drive I did, which maybe I'll give Sandin, our editor, some footage of
Oh, God.
small Sean in this 400i with my mom freaking out, being like, "Why isn't that turning on?" I'm like, "The battery's dead," and just stone cold.
What happened when you went to the Chevy dealer? What did they say?
They were like, "You're insane." However, we have a fleet service center across the street that the manager there can work on weird stuff.
Wow.
This guy Brandon, and he ended up helping me with this car for years.
Oh.
Between classes, I would go to the shop and he would like teach me on some customer cars, like how to do oil changes, and I would like do like trade-off work,
Wow.
like sweeping the shop and all these like random favors for them, like picking their lunch up, and then they would like help me handle this insane thing.
Did they get the electrical draw solved?
Yeah, they did, and then the LT1 had this like crazy like backfiring issue that they helped me fix. It was so bad the exhaust, like it backfired so hard the exhaust mufflers blew out like from the back of it. The one crux of this car was like the Ferrari like window regulators.
Yeah, and from that era, they were all
were
terrible.
so bad.
Slow, and
Yeah.
the windows would stick.
Yeah, and so like that was like the final nail. It was like they couldn't help me with this window regulator. And I took it to like a specialty shop in Sacramento for luxury cars, and it was like the bill was like $2,500, and my parents were like very unhappy with this whole situation, and the car had to go. And
How long did you have it?
I had it for probably about 2 years.
2 years.
Wow.
2 years.
Now,
So-
the other problem with the car, of course, a car with a motor swap like this, you can't title in California, which Sean didn't know when he bought it.
No,
So how did you drive? You drove this to high school.
I did, and this was the era when
It's legit.
paper plates were like a thing in California. So I just from that Chevy dealership had a I just bought this car and taped up a fake like little new registration in the window and drove it. Never got pulled over. But I did that because I took it to the DMV at first to register this car. And they were like, you have to take it to the referee station.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a referee was, which in California is there's only, I think, 3 or 4 locations, and they like really look over the car. And so they took the car away for like an hour and came back with like the thickest stack of papers of like, this is everything you have to fix to get this to pass smog. And it was like everything, like swap the motor, like install all the evap systems. And so from that moment on, I drove it rode dirty.
So what happened to the car?
So I sold it. And it was sold to the underbidder on the original auction.
Oh,
this guy named
wow.
Otto.
2 years later, you're kidding.
Yeah, this guy named Otto.
How'd you sell it? On eBay also?
Yeah, put it back up on eBay. Actually sold it for about what I bought it for plus the window regulator.
Hey.
So I got
there
out
you go.
okay from the car, and he still has the car today with
Wow.
the same LT1. He's taken such good care of this car. He's repainted it. He's done a new interior, new suspension. Wow. It's like one of the most complete and like clean 400i's that probably exists, but he hasn't changed the LT1, which I think is pretty funny.
Wait, it's going to be every year it gets more expensive for him. He's now stuck basically.
Yeah,
He's never going to
yeah.
be able to put a V12 back in it.
Yeah.
Why did he put an LS in it or something?
That's what I wonder. I wonder if it's something to do with the transmission and having to change that original transmission. But like, you think.
Right,
You
put an
get-
LS and do a trans swap.
Yeah,
Right, make it
yeah,
happen.
Yeah, but it's such a cool thing. I hope that one day somehow I end up back up with this car.
He's in Florida, right?
Yeah, he's I think Miami. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you see a black 400i, ask him to pop the hood.
Those were the early days of Sean. Then you had a Mustang.
Yeah, but that 400i like was pivotal in getting into TV. Like in my interview with the BBC people, they're like, "Why do you want to work here?" I was like, "I really want to work on Top Gear," and they were like, "Do you have experience with cars?" I said, "Well, I have a story for you. my first car was this 400i that was engine swapped, and I think that had a lot to do with getting that first internship in the door with this weird car.
That does lend some credibility.
Totally.
If you're insane
and
enough
when he
to do
went
that.
to work on with Ant and Mike Brewer, that was the same situation. Sean had already been down that road.
Yeah.
What happened to Brandon at the Chevy dealer? You ever talk to him?
Yeah. He like recently just messaged me on Facebook. I was like, "What happened to that Ferrari? Where is that thing?"
Is he still at the Chevy dealer in Davis?
No, he's not. He's scuba diving now.
So the Tip Frog, the 360 that you have now, which we call a Tip Frog because it's Tiptronic and it looks like a frog.
Yeah.
That's not your first Ferrari.
Insanely.
Tell us about your Tip Frog experience.
The 360's been great. Tip Frog, everybody here, mostly, I shouldn't say everybody. Doug makes so much fun of the way the 360 looks, despite having launched his career with the 360.
You don't make fun of the way the 360 looks?
No. However, I think there's a lot of similarities in the design of the Carrera GT to the front of the 360.
I don't think the Carrera GT is an attractive car.
I think that if we call the 360 a Tip Frog, I think the Carrera GT is the V10 Salamander.
I've never felt the Carrera GT is an attractive car. I think it looks weirdly stretched. I think the Carrera GT is a precision purpose car that is an amazing, like unbelievable, like scalpel driving experience, and the design is okay. The 360,
still looks pretty cool.
Unfortunately, doesn't have some of the driving experience benefits.
I love the driving experience of the cars. The 360 was like top of my list of cars I wanted to experience. I needed to own one for a period of time. I personally love the way the 360 looks. I love the challenge grille on the back, and the car I rode in that kind of snowballed me into being a car person was a Argento Nürburgring silver Ferrari 360 with the F1 paddles, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so for a couple years, I was looking for the right one to buy, and just got very lucky finding one locally that was on a classified website, and jumped in. And when I first bought it, the F1 transmission was a problem. So apparently they got better in like 2002. I bought a 2001 that had like the original programming from like when the car launched in '99. So like leaving a stop sign was it was super spongy, not a good driving experience.
Yeah.
And my friend Eric at Good Kind Designs got me in touch with a transmission tuner who.
You buy any of this?
I remember this happening.
Did you? And so the car.
So anyway, we swapped in a Challenge Stradale TCU. So now it has like the latest version of the shifting. Again, a super gear guy thing.
Are you not manual swapping this?
I am.
Yeah.
But I just have to say that like the TCU from the Challenge Stradale made it infinitely better. Like the downshifts are just like super aggressive and it's very fun. However, the next step for that car is doing the manual conversion.
We're manual guys.
What will we call it? Because we can't call it Tip Frog anymore. Formerly Tip Frog.
I'm still going to call it a Tip Frog.
Yeah, why not?
OE, it was Tip.
Right.
And OE, it was definitely a frog.
I am proud of Sean for driving that car, like 8,000 miles at this point?
I've driven a lot.
In the last year and a
I
half?
drove it to Laguna Seca, did a track day in it, was terrified the entire time. I was going to like take a rock chip to the front lens.
You didn't PPF it?
I PPF'd the headlights. Our friend Kevin said, you should PPF the windshield. I said, nah, I did get a rock chip on the way up to the track day.
I PPF all my windshields now.
Terrified me. Yeah.
So many problems.
But it's been great. It's been like very bulletproof. The only issue I've had was been like self-inflicted with like I backed onto like a parking block and bent the oil fill. And there's like a company called Hill Engineering that makes like a stainless steel piece for that instead of the aluminum one. It was like $100, and the 360 has been the cheapest car for me to own out of any of my cars. All of my cars have required more maintenance, more service.
Especially the G Wagon.
Yep.
The G's been expensive.
Sean, do you want to tell us the story of purchasing the G Wagon, which is one of Felipe's favorite stories?
Do we even have time?
Look, I love the hunt. I love hunting for a car. The benefit of Cars and Bids is that we present all these amazing cars. I spend way too much time looking on Cars and Bids, but I like going out and hunting the deep dredges of marketplace for these cars. And so
for just poorly presented trash.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
We get so many links from Sean every day.
It's very true. Very true. And so I want to say about maybe a year and a half ago on this podcast, Doug, you were talking about there was a green G500 that was for sale on the site. And you made the point that everybody should buy one of these early G Wagons. They're reliable, they hold their value, and they're just cool. And
great off-road, little, drivable.
Yeah, I believe I was the underbidder on that green G. So I was looking for a color. And anyway, this is the car. It's a pretty cool color.
Yeah, no, I disagree, but people might think that.
What color is this?
Everest Green.
Everest Green. Wow.
Everest Green. That doesn't even make any sense. Anyway.
Anyways, through the research, I saw that 2013 to 2015 for the first gen or this gen W463 is like the sweet spot of the years, because in 2013 to 2015 with the G550 you got the NA, the final iteration of that 5.5 NA engine, with the latest interior updates. You got heated seats, cooled seats.
Yep.
You had an infotainment system that could be easily swapped for Apple CarPlay.
Which Sean did. Chinese Apple CarPlay. Driving around.
Heck yeah.
Whatever background you want. You want flowers. You want babies. You want babies holding flowers. It's all there.
It's awesome. And radar cruise control. So so what this replaced was a Mercedes W123. 300 diesel. I've had two 123s over the years, and I love the feeling of driving an old Mercedes. They're just such tanks, right? It's such an analog driving experience, and that's actually very usable. But the 300D is pretty slow, especially San Diego. Like my commute, I have to get right on a highway, cold, and I was tired of being foot to the floor every morning. And so I thought, man, if I could find one of these G Wagons that's like kind of still falls into that camp of 70s Mercedes with a modern drivetrain.
Right. Old school, solid.
Yeah.
Similar feel to this car.
Yeah. Well, like a cool driving experience. And through many late nights on Facebook Marketplace, we found this mystic red G550 that was being sold by someone in the Portland, Oregon area.
A very sketchy person in the Portland, Oregon area who had horrible Walmart aftermarket rims on it.
The wheels were a problem. I was negotiating really hard, Nick Rochon, crazy Nick levels of negotiation with this guy. It was like a 2-week thing, and finally he said yes to my number. It was Friday at 3 p.m. I was on a Zoom with Filippo and was like, I gotta go. Like rush to the bank, like try to like pull out funds to go fly up and buy this car. I get to the airport and he's like, well, we're actually not sure if we want to sell this car. And I'm like sitting like on the runway being like, I'm already on a plane coming up there. On the way up, our plane hit a bird. Like we had a bird strike on landing. It was like this whole journey to get up there. And when I got up there, it was really cool. It's a really cool car. The interior has like all the carbon fiber trim options, and it's just like a cool spec. It's a cool thing, and it's
there were two other things that I recall from this, which is number one, at one point Filippo called to see how things were progressing, and you said, Filippo, I can't talk right now. I'm in the ultimate race. Yep.
I was then photoshopped into like a marathon. That photo was like.
And then when you showed up, and the guy swore up and down there was no rust on the car. There was a little spot of rust on the windshield, and Sean lost his mind.
I lost my mind, and I asked for $2,000 off, like on the spot. I was like, and it was already a very good price for the car.
Don't tell him that.
And he said yes, but I had got a cashier's check for the exact amount, so I just was trusting this guy to like send me $2,000 after the fact, and he did. Shout out to him, he did, and I drove it straight back down to San Diego.
And he's been driving a bad colored G Wagon ever since.
Everybody that sees it likes the color.
So that car's a bit uncomfortable to drive around because it gets a lot of attention. There's not many red G Wagons, and a lot of people are really into it. I can't believe it. Like compared to driving the 360 around, I get so many more compliments and just people asking me like what it is with the G, and it's insane.
So that's Sean's bad color G. Most people do like that color, I admit, and some people even have it on one of their own cars.
And guess what? One time Doug said, "You know what? I saw you come around that corner and it looked pretty good."
Should we get to some questions?
I want to go to the questions because the questions, we had asked you guys to ask questions specifically for Sean, and there are dozens of questions here that are Sean specific. We've covered some of them already.
I can't believe how many questions people have asked.
People have Sean questions for the Sean podcast. There's Sean sitting in the Suzuki S2000 up at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles.
Which you can also see in the Key Channel video live right now.
Oh, how exciting. These questions there's a lot of production related questions and a lot of how you came to this world questions. And we are thrilled that we got so many Sean questions. We're going to start with Wyatt R., who says, question for Sean. What is the wildest thing that Nick has said or done that has made you cut a piece of content? And seriously, how many hours of content have you had to cut because of Nick? We definitely cannot say the wildest stuff, although I think we're all thinking about the same thing.
God.
There's so many moments. We have the greatest collection of Nick moments. But yeah, can't really say those on air.
We have advertisers now, and there's a certain standard of decorum that we have to maintain. Or else they'll drop us.
Also, we're not comfortable with some of the things that were said.
That is true. There have definitely been some stuff that Nick has said that has been just absolutely out of this world, not acceptable.
I'll give everybody a Nick action though, which is when we were filming the $18,000 Desert series challenge videos.
Those are good videos.
It was his first time having to like follow a camera car.
Oh my god!
My
god!
So we have this like big briefing about like what we're going to do. We're going to drive up this mountain. We all have walkie-talkies to communicate with each other about what we're going to do. And Nick had no ability to follow the direction of like following the camera car. And at one point we were trying to get a hold of him on the walkie. He had not turned on his walkie or like forgot about the walkie's existence. And so I resorted to hand signals out the window, and I pointed to a turnout because we wanted, I think it was Filippo to pass so we can get shots of Filippo's car so he wasn't behind the camera car. And instead of turning out into the turnout, Nick proceeded to try to pass us in the turnout through the corner.
Thinking that it was a point by.
Like on
There's actually a better story that came out of that. After that, there was some harsh words to Nick at the next meeting. Like, dude, you have to turn on your radio and you have to pay attention. Like we had gone over step by step everything that needed to happen for that sequence of shots. We get into our cars, and because we hadn't gotten any shot footage of Nick's car going, we were like, Nick, you lead the next section behind the camera car so that we can get shots of your car. And once again, he goes in the wrong direction and gets lost and doesn't do what he's supposed to. We have to have another complete stop, another get out of the car, and tries to talk to him again. And Nick says, I can't, it's very annoying, you guys, that you've done this. You've made me lead. And he was leading in the sense that he was the first film car, but the camera car was ahead of him. And Kennan was like, that'd be like the third car in the train being like, damn it, I can't believe I'm forced to lead this train. Nick, he was so pissed that we made him lead when all he had to do was follow behind the camera car and he couldn't handle it. It was
We
one
love
of the most
Nick.
absurd things that has ever happened I've ever been part of. We could not stop laughing.
Insane.
Completely lost it.
Problematic, honestly.
He's a complete idiot.
Nick is a treasure.
Next question from
treasure.
Avery Malon. Question for Sean. What's your email? Every week or so on the pod, I shout out Sean's email address, which is, of course, Sean@carsandbids.com. I think a better question would be, what has come from your email being so public? Hundreds of thousands of people watch this podcast every week.
I can't say everything because I also don't want to give anybody any new ideas of what to do with my email. However,
This is Sean's actual work email, by the way.
Yep.
yeah. Some interesting stuff comes through. Like I've had some chats with some people. If you have something interesting, shoot me an email. You know, I'm getting
Does anything actually fruitful come out of it?
a lot of wrong E55 wagons.
Yeah.
Have been the recent result of the emails. Nothing of that much substance yet. So
Nothing yet. We also haven't asked for a lot yet.
Pretty recently, Sean forwarded me an email that he got that was related to me and relevant to me that he received truly 2 months prior. And it was like topical, related to something with the truck.
He's slow to get through all the emails, is what you're saying.
Don't be upset if
If he has
it's a lot of
replied.
emails. It's a lot of emails.
How many emails is it?
Again, I don't necessarily want to say. I don't want to encourage this.
No more emails to Sean at carsandbids.com. That's SEAN at carsandbids.com.
If you have something interesting, I'll have a conversation.
Do you ever get like threats?
No threats.
People have been nice.
chill. Everybody's been super
We
chill.
do run a car podcast at the end of the day.
A lot of some weird like Chat GPT like long diatribes that is like what is
Right.
what is
That we
this?
just delete.
But the callback to the Late Late Show was at the end of the Late Late Show, which is a late night talk show. What my job was to go through the voicemails that people left for the show, because at the end of every episode they put a phone number on the screen for people to get tickets to be in the studio audience, and I had to sift through hundreds of calls every day, often from the same people that called every day. That nobody wanted tickets. It was just random calls, and the emails somewhat remind me of the days at the Late Late Show, having to go through these bulk requests.
But then you would actually listen to each one. This before transcription and things like that.
Yeah.
Next question from Rose76. Question for Sean. How the hell did you get your car into a Gracie Abrams music video?
That was awesome. So,
Sean's 300D was in a Gracie Abrams music video.
my good friend Dawn, who I produced Top Gear with, Top Gear America, she was a co-producer with me. She co-owns a production company that makes the majority of Interscope record music videos. And so when they need something car related, often I try to help out. I try to help her out. I got to be a stunt driver in a Billie Eilish music video. I've done a bunch of like weird music video projects with Dawn. And Dawn called me and was like, hey, do you know anybody that has a cool colored vintage car for a Gracie Abrams music video? And I was like, do you want to use the Mercedes? And she was like, yeah, that'd be great. And so the day was amazing. We shot it in one day, and I got to drive for this music video. So it was just
So cool.
a camera guy in the
You're
in the front
driving.
seat.
Pull up the video. You're driving.
I'm driving.
Can we show it?
You can't play the music, but you can probably show the video.
Well, this is a commentary video.
But it's you never see the
Yeah, there
front
it is.
seat.
There
But
it is.
we drove around for a few hours with her just singing this beautiful song in the back seat. It was like one of the coolest like production days I've got to do. You know, she's like selling out like Wembley Stadium now.
Yeah.
And this is like one of her hit songs. And so yeah, it's her brother, her best friend, all in the back seat. We're just cruising around the streets of a town, and she's just singing the song. I'm sorry, I love you.
How many views does this video have now?
42 million.
42 million.
42 million views. 42 million views.
The thing that you will forever be associated with that got the most views was your car. This is true. And you were the driver for all those shots. So you must have chatted with her and stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool, very cool. her dad is J.J. Abrams, who I was lucky enough to have dinner with a few years earlier, so we got to talk about that.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, it's a super cool artist, and like what an experience to have this like, they have the playback going, but then she was fully belting the song,
Really?
just in the backseat of the car with the.
I guess you kind of have to, because otherwise it probably looks fake in a music video if you're not actually singing.
Yeah, and she was a big fan of the W123. It was very fun.
Next question from BB King 24. Sean, does it annoy you that Doug calls your G Wagon a bad color G Wagon despite his 993 being a similar color?
You know, we drove up together to go pick up the 993 in the bad color G. And I remember when we finally got the 993 out of the dealership and parked in that mall parking lot and parked them next to each other. I looked at it and I was like, wait, they're the same color.
You know, two things. The color, that dark red, suits the Porsche better.
It does. I will give it
As
that.
a guy who loves the press color, the G Wagon is silver. It just is. When you say G Wagon, you're talking about a silver car.
This is true. Silver's boring for the most part.
But here's something I'm willing to concede. I actually don't think Arena Red is that great of a car. I think if it wasn't for the famous ad, Kills Bugs Fast,
Maybe.
I don't think we'd all be so, Arena Red. Even with the famous ad, and of course that's probably one of the most famous Porsche ads ever,
Yeah.
it doesn't really sell for a premium. And that's because it's not the most attractive color, if we're being honest.
It's interesting because on your car, I actually do like the Arena Red.
It looks good.
But on like 996s, and even though I just saw a 991 GT3 in Arena Red,
It looks bad in almost every other car.
it's
And I
not
think
good.
the only reason we think it looks good on the 993 Twin Turbo is because it is such a cultural thing in the car world, knowing that color on that car.
Maybe it's also such a small car, and right that era just suits that color.
Yeah. Next question from Ceylon. Filippo, you can take this one too.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, what are we missing out on? What content are we missing out on because Doug loves the word no? So I very famously kind of say no to everything now. I like spending time with my family. I like playing tennis here I film a lot of content here in the office too, which is hard to take me away from. What are we missing out on? What would
We don't even know. We don't even know because
We'd be in space. We'd be at the moon.
We could be in the moon. No. We'd have 43 million views too.
Filippo's perpetually annoyed with me.
Have anything specific?
Because of this.
I really don't have anything
Filippo
specific.
manages the money of this business, and he knows we could be making more if I said yes to everything.
You know, we don't talk about that because it's too triggering.
It is definitely, there's some tension for sure. There was the Audi TT thing. That would have been really cool. Audi invited me to drive that concept car in Germany, that new TT concept car. I actually seriously considered that. Which is very rare. I haven't gone to Europe for a press launch in many, many years. I considered that one. I said, Sean, it's going to be like 5-6 days. I don't want to do it. I'm going to be away from my family. Sean says, bring your kids. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Just get my kids on a jet lagged on a flight to Europe with all their stuff so I could turn around 2 days later and come back. And I had to work one of the days filming this Audi TT video. But that would have been cool.
Would have been cool. There's definitely some stuff that we're missing out on, but like we still have so much good Doug content. You can't really be mad.
It's worth the trade-off.
Yeah. And plus, like you say yes sometimes. Like I can get you to do the Euro car
Sean
adventure
is to
series.
this day the only person in our company who can get me to say yes to stuff that I wouldn't otherwise say yes to.
Yep.
To this day, the only person. There is a limit. It only goes so far. But when Sean says, will you sign 50 cassettes, I will do it.
Shout out to
Will you go to whatever random company's annual shareholder meeting or whatever it was? Yeah, okay, fine. Sean's the only one. When our CEO asks, I'm like, no. Sorry.
Sean's got a special touch.
Sean's got there's a little special touch there.
We pick our battles carefully.
We pick our battles carefully. And Sean has a great way of, he tells me about it. I say no to everything. To the point where he said, the company's going to pay to get you a new iPhone. I was like, no, I still haven't done it. But 3-4 days later, he'll come back to me and bring it up again. 3-4 days later, bring it up again.
He knows the strategies.
And he kind of, what if we did it this way? What if we did it that way? And then eventually I say yes. But still, there's a limit, mostly involving travel.
He knows.
Next question from Stills400. Dear Sean, who do you report to? Is Doug your boss? Is there an org chart that you can share? I've never really understood it myself. In a way, Sean is my boss, and in a way, I am his. I don't really understand how it works.
Good enough of an answer.
I follow the paperwork that was sent to the DMV for press photographer plates, in which it was signed that I was your boss. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna just use that as our official document.
Sean is my boss, at least according to the people in the DMV who pan out the press plates.
But we do have a very cool CEO, Dan, who I'm trying to figure out how to and when to put him in a video, because he actually does race cars and is like very much a car guy. It's a really cool part about this company. It's like everybody's so passionate about cars.
Right. Yeah. There ain't no suits here.
That's right.
Even Ryan Lopez, who drives a Tesla, he also has a zesty drift car to balance it out. He's got the most boring and the most ridiculous of any car on this.
I don't think I've ever seen any of our employees wear a suit. Team members, excuse me, wear a suit.
Team members. We got a team here. We got a team.
One time somebody dressed up and in the place of a suit wore like shorts and a polo shirt instead of a t-shirt.
Oh, how nice.
That was our level of formality.
We do have a good team. And so are you saying you report to the CEO?
I do report to the
Sean's
CEO.
legit. That's where you want to be, folks. You want to be reporting to the CEO. You don't want to be the CEO. You want to be reporting to the CEO.
Better.
Yeah. Yeah. Filippo, thanks for letting us know that. This isn't really a great question, but I wanted to bring it up because it's about your emails. From Real Ass Park Owl, Dear Sean, I emailed you several weeks ago informing you that I had recently bought a 3rd-gen 4Runner. So this guy just emailed Sean telling him that.
That's great. I love that.
No purpose to it.
I love that.
And Sean responded and said he learned how to drive in one of them. Why are you responding?
That was the first car I ever drove. It's a third gen 4Runner. It's cool. That's cool. Also,
everybody's been in a 3rd-gen 4Runner.
Also-
If everybody with 3rd-gen 4Runner experience emailed you, your email inbox would be full.
this is true. This is true. But also, I'm glad I did, because now we know that he is not the real Aspark Owl.
He's not the real Aspark Owl.
I have his real name.
Communicated with him. We know his actual name.
So the Aspark Owl is still not real.
He said his question is, enlighten us, after you learned to drive in a 3rd-gen 4Runner, why did you choose a G Wagon instead of a 4Runner? It's actually a great question.
It is.
Because Sean can't handle his G Wagon. And he can't get the squeaking to stop. He can't get the brake lights to work. He can't get the door locks to function. The rust spot is growing. And I have been sending him 4Runner listings. Did that Pro sell, that green Pro?
Yeah.
I sent him that one. And I said, Sean, this is the one. This one.
That one. It was the one.
Low mile car. And was it local? It was in Utah. It was close enough.
In one of the TRD Pro colors.
TRD Pro color. I said, Sean, look. I said, you can't handle your G Wagon. Why don't you step? It's not a 3rd-gen, but
we'll accept
the modern equivalent. I said, Sean, why don't you step up and grab yourself a 4Runner, something you can really handle, something that's like you can accept a little. But he didn't do it. Why's that?
Look, there will be a time in my life where I have to make reasonable decisions like 4Runners.
Yeah.
And I'm just not there. I like having fun. And also the drivetrain. Like the drivetrain of specifically that Gen 4Runner. My very good friend and
The 5th gen.
The 5th gen. My good friend and producer I've done many projects with, David Silberman. We scouted the country for Top Gear, and our rental was often a 5th gen 4Runner.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect car to take on these journeys. And like having cruise control set, going through Utah, there was like a gust that came, and the car kicked down gears because the engine couldn't keep going at the correct speed.
It's a known problem with the 4-liter V6.
I just am not a fan of that drivetrain. The new 4Runner looks really nice, and I have a feeling in a couple years when I'm done with the G, it'll probably be a toss up between like a Rivian R3X if that comes out, and a 4Runner as like the more reasonable car. But until then, no, I'm running over parking curbs in my G Wagon.
Yeah, that's all he's doing.
That's right.
From King Burrito 3, Dear Sean, who is your dream podcast guest? Sean created this podcast. He produces it. He makes it run. He is constantly trying to convince us to have guests on it.
Yep.
Well, I refuse because this is not a guest podcast. That's why you watch. You want to see the news. You don't want to see Jim. You don't want to see Jim Bob come on here and promote his new YouTube channel. Like Sean is doing right now. Sean, in your dream world, who do we have on the podcast?
For this car pod, nobody. I fully agree.
You have embraced the no guest.
So I feel like we should just take a step back and talk about like how we came up with this. This car pod. You know, I moved here and was trying to think of what we could do to make some new interesting content. And started hanging out with you guys, and the conversations you were having,
Right.
just at dinner, around the office. Filippo wasn't in much content before we started the
good
car
old
pod,
days.
but he was so into the news and like had really
Yeah.
good insight into car stories.
Yeah.
It needed to be recorded, and so we converted. There was the live show, which was
Yep.
covering auctions. We converted that into the version of this podcast, which is again going back to like my Top Gear roots, was trying to embrace this like weekly news element where our audience could come and get what's the current happenings in the automotive world
Yeah.
with the same group of friends that are
And then we chat about our cars and
Yeah,
our car
it's
life,
great.
and it's a pretty
Yeah.
good situation. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of selling it. I remember there were some people in other parts of the business who wanted to really focus more on the auctions, the live auctions, et cetera, which
Yeah.
actually is kind of a cool format. But we really had this was like what we thought would sell and when what we thought would do well.
And I'm thrilled that so many people love it, and that we are on episode 105.
I know.
It's
2
amazing.
years last week
It's
of the podcast.
It's really cool. Doing a news thing is again an idea that I like raised my hand at Motor Trend many times and said we should be using this massive office space to do a CNN style news daily weekly news thing, and it never took off. And so to have it be successful on the Doug channel is so cool.
Oh, very successful. I mean, I think we're number one in car pods.
Yeah.
And I think the news
Yep.
is when I get feedback from people, the news is the segment that keeps them especially. I think people like to hear us chat
Yeah.
about cars and stuff after the news, but I think the news is like the most interesting, most exciting piece that gets the most people in.
Dream guest, I think Whistling Diesel would be pretty fun at the
yeah,
moment.
Cody.
In the
You think
current,
Whistling would be a good guest? Like, I think I'd be nervous.
We need
it's
it.
like
We-
meeting your It's like
It'd
it's
be
like
tough.
it's like if Filippo ever met one of his Italian idols, Pavarotti or Michelangelo.
this is true.
That would be something.
This is true. So Whistling, come on the pod.
Whistling,
We'll see.
pop on the pod. I would make. We've made a no guest exception for a few people. We had Hoovy on.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had John Tamarian on, who they named the Lamborghini Temerario for.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so we would do it for the right person.
Right.
We had RJ Scarenza
Yeah.
on. Like we've done
That
it
was
for
really
a few
cool.
legit
Yep.
people. But you got to be legit. You can't just be the real Ask Park Owl talking about his third gen 4
Right.
You got to be legit.
And
Okay?
if you're having AC issues, all the better.
Do you remember the day that I sold my A class and the guy came to pick it up and I was like, "Hey man, you want to be on the pod?" This is when we were still doing the
Yeah.
live pods. He was like, "All right." I liked him a lot.
He was great. Sadly, he sold it.
Next question from Victory Buns. Dear Sean, if you weren't producing the Cars and Bids podcast, what would you be doing professionally?
Oh.
Let's say I hadn't called you out of Motor Trend. Motor Trend heavily restructured, reorged their content. Do you think you'd still be working there?
Probably not. I was very much specifically working on roadworthy rescues at the time, which doesn't have any more seasons. You're freelancing. When you're in automotive TV producing, these shows have some have good runs, some have very short runs, but amazingly, the phone always seems to ring for automotive content. There's always something going on somewhere, and I hope that I would be as fortunate to continue working in cars. It's the coolest. It really is genuinely the coolest to be able to storytell and do that with the thing that you love. Or when I get home, I go on Cars and Bids. It's like
Right.
that's what we all do. And so
Right.
it's a
Right.
100%.
There's our Sean podcast. Sean, do you have anything you want to add?
We never got to Alfa Romeos, which I think is
I
a
think that's okay.
real shame. Because
Someone did ask, dear Sean, can you please explain why Doug should be into old Alphas like yours? Now, I'm not an old Alpha enthusiast. However, me and you did recently drive this Alfa Romeo TZ.
Tubulare Zagato. Yes.
We got this TZ1 in the office, and it was one of the greatest automotive experiences of my entire life. So now I am into old Alphas.
So special. So I didn't get into this because we've had so much else to cover, but I have a 1974 Alfa Romeo GTV that was a massive.
Not this car.
This car. This is the car that's in the office.
Yeah.
This is a TZ. But my GTV was bought super ratty, and I fixed it up, and it's
Beautiful.
It's a very fun car. But I've kind of been on the fence of selling it. I think
You will sell it.
it's
Doug
on.
will get to review it.
Might be on Doug's schedule to review. However, both Doug and I's life changed
That was
with this Alfa Romeo TZ. It is like the lightest, most
eager,
Yeah.
athletic, fun, old school. It's a 4-cylinder, but it sounds like it's qualifying for Le Mans. The steering is direct. The shifter and clutch feel modern.
Yeah.
It was so good. So Sean no longer has to convince me on old Alphas.
Yeah, yeah. I then got home and got in my GTV, and it felt like a marshmallow. I thought it was like this
Yeah.
like hardcore,
Yeah.
super like revvy
Yeah.
thing, and that is just on a whole nother level.
Well, believe it or not, this is going to be on Cars and Bids. We're actually auctioning this car. This car's going to be sold on Cars and
Yep.
Bids. I got a review coming with it. It's got a huge reserve. It's a expensive,
car.
special, valuable car. We'll cover more of that later. But I'm glad you got to sneak in Alphas, which you're
Yep, well
obsessed
done.
with.
Old cars.
Old cars, me and you. Filippo will never know the joy.
I don't know, 1973 Ford F-250.
Oh, that's so
currently.
true.
Oh, you're now the
Filippo's
oldest.
truck is up there.
Thank you. Finally recognition.
I appreciate you working Alphas in. I appreciate you coming on the pod. Subscribe to Key. Send Sean an email. Tell him if you liked his appearance on the pod.
I hope you enjoyed it because it's never happening again.
Sean will
It's
never,
delightful.
You'll never see me again.
will never be in front of the camera again ever as long as he lives. This was the end of Sean. Undoubtedly the most time you've ever spent any content of anything you've ever
delightful.
done.
great.
Amazing to see Sean. Sean, thank you for joining us on our special podcast. Thank you for watching.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.